Well, good morning, everybody. Joe Alagna from Afilias. And first, before I begin, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of this. And so you know, I am there with you in my heart. I just was unable to come physically. But I would like to thank AFTLD and Barack, all of the stakeholders in AFTLD for Registrar and ICANN, of course, and of course the government there and the African Union, the people that are helping to make all this stuff happen. So what I want to talk to you today, it sounds like when Barack contacted me about this, I think he saw a presentation that I gave in Dubai some months ago. And, you know, it was around the topic of marketing for registries, but I called it Unleashing Your Registry. And it's more of a mind map, I guess I'm going to say, than a presentation. But there's something that I've been talking about for a while. And what it is I believe that we need to, I don't want to say change, but I do want to say enhance our conversations around the domain name business, and especially in Africa, and especially in the country code top level domain realm. And I believe that we're in a situation where DNS has really, for the most part, is very solvable. There are companies like Afilias and many others that I believe DNS is solved. Not that it's, you know, that we have permanent solutions, but it's a wheel that's been very well created and that is being very well managed by companies around the world. And it's something that you all have access to. It's a highly technical topic. You know, when you talk about DNSSEC and you talk about all the new things that are happening, it's certainly technical. And I assume there are many technical people in the room here. But marketing is also technical. And there are plenty of opportunities in marketing. And so when I say DNS is solved, what is not solved in terms of what I hear is penetration of the market is not solved. Revenue is not always solved. Resources is a problem that is not solved. And marketing is the solution. And it's a solution that I believe in many cases has not been solved. And it's something that I believe is worthy of more discussion. Now, at the base of all marketing, you know, since we're talking about marketing for registries, and I know that there are registries there that use the 3R model, you know, registry, registrar, and registrant. I always say that at the very base of a successful registry business, there are 5 pillars, and I've got those pillars on the screen. The pillar of transparency, the pillar of reach, the pillar of being unhindered, the pillar of security, and the pillar of technology. Okay, and today what I want to talk about is probably the second and third pillar here. Oh, you notice they come together to spell trust. By the way, is everybody hearing me very well? I'm not getting any feedback. I can't see the room, so I just want to make sure. Can someone acknowledge that for me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, great. So what I want to talk today about are the two, you know, the R and the U. So I'm going to just go a little bit forward. But to me, domain names and registries have a wonderful opportunity. Okay, we're in an industry where, because we're a digital product, I think we're probably, if we're not hindered by some type of government regulation, or if we're unhindered by, you know, the fact that we can't do business out of our country. And I don't say that in a negative way. In some countries, the laws are the laws. They want you to do business within your country, and that's certainly I don't mean in any way to say that that is wrong. But I will say that it does hinder the revenues and the penetration that a registry can achieve. So it's certainly the way it is. If the government has that rule, you have to follow it. It's just the way it is. But it does hinder you, and so you're only going to be able to do business in your country, and you're only going to achieve certain revenue. You're not going to have the reach that you would have if you were unhindered. And so that reach, the point about that reach is that gives you an opportunity to, I would say, export probably one of the best exports in the world, and that is domain names. So what that does is that brings revenue to your registry and gives you the ability to do good things with that revenue for your company, for your business, for your country. So that's kind of what I want to spend some time on, is the reach and some of the ways to do that. Now, if you are, and I'm going to just bring up some 3 things here. If you are a registry that is also the registrar, and you're not following the 3R model, then what we'll talk about today could be valuable for you, because I'm going to sort of put a mind map up on the screen in a little bit, and I'm going to talk about how, you can market domains to the best ability. Unleash your registry, unleash your registrar. Now, if you're a registry that does business through registrars, then much of this will apply to that registrar market. So, there are similar ideas here, but except for your market is the registrars. You're not trying to undermine them. You're trying to just help them to get your product out there. But I think at the very center of this discussion is something that I like to call brand-based marketing. And that's why I put your brand at the very top, because not only is this something that I think is good for you to do, but I think it's also something for you to teach others. And it's something that's good for you to promote. And so we've all had discussions about how, in many ways, platforms today are built in such a way that your customer's brand is not really their brand. I've been, doing some reading. I'm reading a book about Alibaba. Now, you guys know how big Alibaba is, but it's really interesting that all of the companies that do business within Alibaba don't necessarily have to have their own website. And what does that mean? They don't really even have to buy a domain name. If they're a manufacturer in China or in Asia somewhere, and they want to promote or sell their products online, they can sign up with Alibaba, and Alibaba does all of that marketing and selling for them. But in the long term, is that really what is best for that business or for that brand? Well, it might be now, but because their identity is so wrapped up in Alibaba, they are not promoting their brand. And so we have to teach people how important it is. I mean, I remember, coming online years ago and getting a MySpace account, because I got it because I just wanted to see what my kids were doing on there. But the fact is that nobody talks about MySpace anymore. But at one time, it was the biggest thing out there. So, and there's other examples of big platforms where you didn't need a domain name, and now nobody's talking about them. And so people make these big investments in time and money and then lose that identity. So teaching our clients, our end users, about why domains are so important and how it is so important for your brand is really important. I'm going to talk also a little bit now about your methods and about your time and your resources. So I'm going to put kind of a mind map up. I know this is a lot to look at, but it's really designed just to get us thinking about all the ways that we can market to our registrars, if we are a 3R model, or to end users, if that is in fact who we're selling to. And you notice at the very center of this, we have the customer. And that customer all of your customers all of your prospects should be in a good database or a CRM, a customer relationship management system. It lies at the very center of everything that you're going to be wanting to do in marketing. And so that CRM is really important. And by the way, it's a very technical topic. So to those of you that are technicians in this room, this is a problem where this is where your company needs you. This is where your registry needs you, because trying to choose a great CRM is not an easy thing to do. And there's a lot of evaluation, and there's a lot of time, and there's a lot of consideration of how it will integrate into the other parts of what many people call your marketing stack. What are all the things that you are going to need to be effective in your marketing? CRMs are like the center of it. So, I have this sort of like 5, maybe it's another 5 pillars. I didn't really mean for it to turn out that way, but it starts off right here on the left with what I like to call planning and ideation. So what are you doing, and what are your plans going to be? You've got to have a plan to make this work. Now, there's tools, and many of them out there. You probably know a lot of them. But campaign management tools. How are you going to run your campaigns? You're going to need to do research. You're going to need to do keyword research, and there are so many great tools that allow you to do that. What are people looking for? What's important to them now? What's happening in social media, online surveys? You need to use these tools in order to come up with how you are going to come to market. And there's a lot of, I'm just going to throw out one example that I think was an interesting one over the last couple of years. And it's one that we have experience with, so I can talk to it, freely. And that is .me. Montenegro was, born. .me came out. They realized that it could mean a lot more than their CCTLD, and it has become quite a wonderful export for that company, for that registry, and it's sold all over the world. They created partnerships with great partners, and it's quite a success story. It's not the only one, but it's an example of how somebody had a good opportunity and used that to create a great business and to create revenues. Okay, what am I doing for time, Bob? Just give me a kind of a quick update.
So if you can hear me, maybe another 7 minutes.
Okay, perfect. That's going to work out. Okay, thank you. So, but the other point here is, don't think that you have to have, in Africa, there's 55 country code top level domains, as I understand it. And some of them, just aren't going to mean anything more than your country. And that's fine, because there is a huge market in the world for brand names that want to own every country code in the world. But yet, because the technology for registering them is a little odd, they're not available at every registrar. I mean, people buy domain names at registrars, and if your domain is not easily connected to every registrar in the world, you're missing lots of opportunity. So, but there are lots of brands out there that want to own. It doesn't matter whether your name spells something or not. If it means your country, as most do, then and that's all that it means. There are companies in the world, lots of them, that want to own that because they have trademarks, and it's a big market. When I worked at 101 Domain, we did a lot of business in very obscure country codes because we focused on it. And there were brands that wanted to buy those country codes. So that's a market that you want to be able to take advantage of. But anyway, it's all part of how you plan and your ideation. And so you need to spend time thinking about that. What markets are we going to go after? Okay. Are we going to use 3 are we going to just go directly to the market? It's really a registry's choice. I have my opinions about which way is the way that will allow you to create more revenue, but I also respect that every country has their own rules and ways to do this. Okay, what else? Next, lead generation. How do you generate leads? And so this is something that you can do for yourself, or you can help your registrars to do. And so some of the tools are listed here. And you don't want to rule out, I put in here field sales. You don't want to rule out, we have a tendency today to think that everything has to be done online. And it's kind of true, but if you're not calling and talking to people, I think you're making a big mistake. And in fact, any really successful large business is doing a lot more than just creating a website or doing landing pages. Those are all part of it. Optimizing for search at 101 domain, that was how we really did most of our business. We optimized for search engines. We did pay-per-clicks revenue as well, but search engine optimization was a big part of it. Are you doing webinars or social media marketing and tying that in with your CRM so you capture email addresses? Maybe a call center, maybe direct mail. This depends on your resources. But the bottom line is you've got to capture leads, or if you're for yourself or for your registrars. And there are lots of ways to do it, but you want to think of what's the best way, what's the fastest way. I always like to make an example and say to people, I'll take some young, fella that just got out of college and I'll say, hey, how would you like to make $100,000? And they'll be all happy and say, yeah, I'd like to make $100,000. Oh, by the way, that's over 5 years. Well, wait a minute. No, I don't want to make, $100,000 over 5 years. I want to make it this year. Well, it's not about what you do. It's about how fast you do it. How quickly are you able to get these things done to create the revenues? And so time matters, and you got to think about the best, fastest ways to market and the most effective ways to market. All right, going a little bit further than that. Okay, so let's say you can develop some leads and capture some leads. What do you do with them? What happens after that? How are you following up? And this is something that has interested me for the longest time, and that is how to let's say, manage, these leads. There are so many great tools. I love autoresponders, but I don't love spamming. And I think there's a lot of misuse in autoresponders. But I will tell you this, in the work, people I've talked to and situations I've seen, there is some tremendous great ways to use autoresponders. I'm going to just tell you a little bit of a personal example. So, I've been in the industry a long time, and I like to buy domain names a little bit myself from time to time, just, for sort of investment. And I've had some success, not great success. I'm not a big domainer or anything, but I will tell you this. I inquired about a domain some years ago, and this was the domain was registered over at Uniregistry. And they put me into this autoresponder cycle that what it kind of did, the truth was I only inquired about the domain name because of a short conversation I had with my brother. And he said, hey, Joe, what do you think about this idea? And I thought, oh, well, you've got to have a good domain name. And it looks like it's taken, but I'll check how much it costs. Well, my brother we never talked about it again. Because it was just talking to your brother, small talk. We like to talk about business. What do you think of this idea? But they put me into an autoresponder, and over the next year, I told them I was not interested in that domain for a year, repeatedly. And it wasn't a spam kind of thing. It was more like short emails that were just like, hey, have you thought about it? They were very short emails, but they reminded me about it. They ended up selling me that thing. Now, it was for a lot less than when I originally acquired it. But because of that autoresponder, it was an amazing lesson in how, with a proper follow-up, not spamming, I inquired, and even though I wasn't interested in it really, at some point they just got to me, and I ended up, giving in at a much lesser price, and I bought a domain from them. So this can be done on all levels. It can be done with any domain, with any interested prospect. Autoresponders can be done right, but it does take a lot of what I started talking about in the beginning, and that is that ideation. You've got to be thinking about this right, so you're not just spamming people. Phone follow-ups, field follow-ups, content creation tools. Content marketing is a huge, huge marketing tool today, where you create content and you consider what your prospects are interested in. And we know a lot of this stuff, and you use that as sort of a basis for all of the things that you do, where you keep people interested. And these are very technical topics that are worth studying. Are you scoring your leads? Are you spending your time with the best prospects? And as a salesperson, coming out of school when I was much younger, one of the first things I learned is don't waste your time with bad prospects or unqualified prospects. So there's a way of scoring and nurturing your leads, and there's lots of great tools out there that these concepts, if you just do a little search on them, you'd be amazed at the wealth of tools that are out there to help you to do this very, very well. And then sales closure. So, you want to think of your business as, just a multitude of sales, right? And if you have to make one sale first, even if it's a $10 domain name, you've got to make one sale first before you can make thousands of them. And so what are you doing to ensure that your closure rates are high, that they are better, and that they are improving? And are you looking at your, at closure and how to do that best? And so here again, there are many tools to help you to do that, the analysis tools and those types of things. I guess they kind of go together because you've got to close sales, and then you've got to look at how you're closing those sales and how to improve it. And I just like thinking about that simple A/B testing, where you are changing small things in your advertising or in your website or in your processes and testing against yourself. And then every time you get a little improvement, because you're measuring and you know what that improvement is, you use that and make that your new method, and then create another way and test against it. And whichever one wins is the one you go forward using. But you're always continuing to test, changing colors, changing copy, whatever it is. It's amazing how just some small things can make a big difference. And many of the people that do this well don't even know why it works. But they know that sometimes if they change a color or change a word, that it can increase their results. And then they continue to test. And it's just constant and never-ending improvement. So what I share here with you today is really, it's just think of this as kind of a mind map. It's designed to help you to think about all the possible tools and think of ways that you can use them and spur your imagination. And by the way, we'll have questions and answers, but I just wanted to point this out because I think this is really a very valuable, image. And Richard Feynman, I don't know too much about Richard Feynman. He was a physicist, but he said something very, very valuable for marketers. Objects move by following the path that takes the least energy in the least time. And I use this, waterfall because I think it's a good image of what we're saying here. People will do what is easiest for them. Now, if, Facebook or if, Alibaba or WordPress or whoever makes it the easiest for people to do business online, and they do it without a domain name, that's what people are going to do. What we have to do is think of how we can make a domain name the path the least path, the easiest path to doing business and to helping people achieve their goals online. And that is when we will, as an industry, as a group of country codes, reach those goals. If you don't mind, I'm just going to leave pointing out, I work for Afilias. Many of you guys know me. We've been around for many years. This is what we've done. We have some of our own TLDs. We run TLDs for some country codes around the world. And we're certainly very excited about being part of AFTLD. And we thank you for giving us an opportunity to participate like this. So with that, I will leave it open to any questions, or, if we want to just go to the panel and do questions after that, I will remain available.
Thank you very much, Joe. I think that was quite how we make the limits, at least